Joey Votto got ejected in what could have been his final game in the big leagues. Miguel Cabrera and Zack Greinke, they might also be saying goodbye to baseball, but I think that Greinke's going to stick around because he's so close to making some history. But a lot of emotions in today's video. Bregman and the Astros, they're trying to steal first place from the Rangers on the final day of the season. And the Braves, yeah, fans are saying that they were robbed of history because Austin Riley, he hit an inside-the-park home run, but it wasn't called an inside-the-park home run. Hey guys, it's Fuzzy from the future. I forgot to remind you guys that MLB recaps are not going anywhere. We're still going to do them in the playoffs, but also we're going to be dropping bangers like grading the best and worst rookies. We're going to rank the best player at every single position. It's going to be fun, so stick around. Now, over the weekend, I do want to mention that the Reds, the Cubs, and the Mariners, they all got eliminated. I feel so bad for Reds fans because if Matt McLain did not go down with an injury, I think that they actually make the playoffs, but the Mariners, they got knocked out. The Cubs, their kind of magical Cody Bellinger bounce back season is over. And as you just saw, that is what the playoff bracket is looking like going into the first week of October. And also, I just want to mention a huge rest in peace to Tim Wakefield. He's a two-time World Series champion. He's in the 200-win club. He's most known for that wicked knuckleball. And George Kirby, the Mariners pitcher yesterday, he actually honored Tim Wakefield by throwing a knuckleball to Corey Seager, and it was a good one at that. But we'll talk about the Mariners and Rangers game in just a second. So the Red Sox and Orioles faced off. Just kind of a sad week for both teams because the Orioles, they lost Brooks Robinson, and then a face of the franchise for the Red Sox, Tim Wakefield, he left us. Kyle Bradish, he struck out 5 over 2 no-hit frames. He was taken out because it was basically a tune-up start for the playoffs. Boston starting pitcher Tanner Houck, man, he looked unhittable yesterday, and it genuinely blows my mind that he has a 5 ERA. He went 6 shutout, only allowed 1 base hit. He had a bunch of strikeouts. If he can find the zone and figure out a consistent arm slot, I mean, he's going to be disgusting. RBI singles from Trevor Story and Wilyer Abreu made it 6-0 for the Red Sox. Not a great final game of the season for the Orioles, to be honest. Before we talk about the Astros and Rangers games, I do want to show a few players that could be retiring. Miggy, Zack Greinke, Brandon Crawford, again, Joey Votto, he got ejected. We'll get there. Matt Vierling of the Tigers, he had a long 2-run home run in the 5th to pretty much put this game on ice. And Erod, he dominated on the bump. He allowed 2, but only 1 of those was earned. He finishes 2023 with a solid 3.3 ERA, and he's probably going to opt out to try and get more money. And then this game became all about Miggy. The Tigers put him out at first base to end this game. He made a backhanded snag because, of course, the baseball gods wanted to give us that moment. Just like Ichiro, this one really hit home for me. Even growing up as a Cleveland fan, Miggy, he torched us year in and year out, but I still loved watching him play. The joy that he brought to the field, man, 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. He's a 2-time MVP, a Triple Crown winner, a World Series as a rookie. He's probably going to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. And if he's not, I mean, your baseball card should get taken. He's a unanimous guy. Now, me personally, I think that Royals fans and Zack Greinke are just being safe than sorry because I don't think that Greinke is going to retire. Why? Because he's only 21 strikeouts away from 3,000. He would be just the 20th pitcher ever to do that. But if this was in fact his final game, a big tip of the cap. His offense picked apart Michael King and the Yankees early on. MJ Melendez, Edward Olivares, and Darren Blanco, they all hit home runs, and Greinke, he took care of the rest. He went 5 innings, only allowed 1 run on 4 base hits. He's one of the most liked players in baseball because he's as real as it gets. He refuses to be fake, and he's been big for the mental health side of professional sports because back in the day, he almost left baseball because it was so stressful, and he opened the door for other players to speak up. And just a reminder, it's not lame or uncool to admit that you're not doing well mentally. Always ask for help. Moving on, Joey Votto, again, this is kind of shocking. He got ejected in what could have been his final game ever. Now, this ball was called a strike. He wasn't happy with that after he went and reviewed it. He was barking from the dugout, and the umpire tossed him out, and Joey, he kind of erupted. Now, he did apologize after the game. He said the umpire was professional about it, but he thought that the leash was a little bit short. Either way, I hope that Joey Votto comes back because that's a bad way to go out. St. Louis ended up stealing this game. In the 3rd, they got doubles from rookies Jordan Walker and Lucan Baker. It made it 3-2, and then Jose Fermin, he brought in a clutch 4th run. It was clutch because St. Louis, they only won by 1. Miles Michaelis, he struck out 10, and Ryan Helsley, he has 14 saves. He's been so good this year. But if this was Joey Votto's last game, he's a career 294 hitter with a 409 on base percentage, despite hitting 240 with a 349 on base percentage since 2019. He's got almost 460 doubles, almost 360 home runs, over 1,100 RBIs, and nearly 1,400 walks. To me, he's a no doubt Hall of Famer. Brandon Crawford, on the other hand, no disrespect to him, but he's probably in the Hall of Very Good. Now, before we show Brandon Crawford highlights, Hernandez, he smoked a 3-run home run this year. He's got 5 home runs and 30 RBIs in 54 games as a Dodger. He had 6 home runs and 31 RBIs as a Red Sox, I think in like 80-something games. Casey Schmidt of the Giants, he tried his best to rally everyone to honor Brandon Crawford, but his 2 home runs were not enough. Evan Phillips, his 24th save most likely ends the career of Brandon Crawford, who is easily a top 15 or 20 defender ever. He won 4 Gold Gloves. He's probably actually a top 10 defender, but there's been so many, you guys will have to let me know. But he won 4 Gold Gloves, 2 World Series. He made 3 All-Star teams. He had a decent bat at best, but his glove and arm were legendary. He put up a whopping 47 defensive run saves, DRS, between 2015 and 2016. I think that Belt is the last remaining core player from that 2014 World Series winning Giants team. You guys feeling old yet? Because I sure am. All right, moving past all of the mushy, gushy stuff, it's time. The Astros and the Rangers. And the Astros, they came prepared yesterday because if they win and the Rangers lose, they'll be in first place. The Diamondbacks got pummeled to a tune of 8-1 by the Astros. Bregman, he socked a 2-run home run, and then Kyle Tucker hit an inside the park home run in the 5th. Okay, well, actually, it was a triple and then an error. But he's actually petitioning right now to Major League Baseball to try and get that overturned to a home run. I really hope that they don't, because that's not a home run in my opinion, but a lot of Astros fans are saying that it is. But that would give Kyle Tucker 30 home runs if it does get overturned, so he would officially be in the 30-30 club. Christian Javier has been a lot better as of late. He only allowed 3 base hits over 6 shutout, and that's a great start ahead of the playoffs. Jose Abreu, he's overcoming a terrible start. He went 50 consecutive games without hitting a home run. Now he's got 90 RBIs, 18 home runs, and over his last 91 games, he's got 72 RBIs and a pretty decent 770 OPS, so the Astros, they're looking good yet again going into October. The Rangers have to win this game if they want to stay in first place. Now, they're still going to make the playoffs via the wild card, but they would much rather not face the Tampa Bay Rays in a wild card series. Seattle, they're already out, so they're going to try and play spoiler. Dane Dunning, he was only allowed to go 3-ish innings. This is basically a tune-up start. George Kirby, on the other hand, he has nothing left on his plate but to embarrass the Rangers, and he did exactly that. He completely shut down the Rangers offense, striking out 7 over 6 shutout. This kid is already a big game pitcher. Like, I would trust my life at this point if George Kirby was on the bump. Isaiah Campbell, he converted the save, and just like that, the Rangers, they lose the AL West crown, and they basically had their controller taken away by their father, the Houston Astros. Just not a good way to end the season for Rangers fans, but they're still in the playoffs. So now Texas is going to have to duke it out with the Rays in the wildcard series, and I'm actually pretty excited about that. Tampa Bay is limping into the postseason, but they put up 2 touchdowns yesterday, hold the field goals. That just means they put up 12 runs. Junior Caminero, he had a big night. He had an RBI single, and then Josh Lowe roped an RBI double. Is that a grand slam? Yes, it is. Jonathan Aranda, he muscled that one out for a grand slam, his 2nd home run of the season. Manuel Margot smoked one. He has 4 home runs on the season, and Junior Caminero is now on the board. That's his first career big fly. He has 5 RBIs over his last 3 games. Aranda, he had 6 RBIs. What a day for the 25-year-old. That is easily a career high for him. Tampa Bay, their offense is going to have to carry because that rotation is pretty thin. Toronto is going to be taking on the Twins, and Minnesota has been playing lights out as of late, even without Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa. They went up 2-zip, but there's friend of the channel, Nolan Jones. Earlier in the game, he stole his 20th bag, and then there it is, 20 home runs on the season. He's the first outfield rookie since Mike Trout in 2012 to go 20-20 with 10 DRS in the outfield. Sean Bouchard, who is this kid? He has a home run in 4 of his last 5, and check this out, since last year, he's hitting over 300 with 15 extra base hits, 18 RBIs, and a 161 OPS plus, and 112 at-bats. Hello? They got to play him more often. That tied it up, and then it set up this walk-off from Brenton Doyle, and this almost seemed intentional because Minnesota, they have nothing left to prove. They did not want to waste a relief pitcher. They put an outfielder, Jordan Luplow, and that was a walk-off wild pitch, but to me, it seemed intentional. I don't know. We're going to talk about the Phillies and Marlins game back-to-back because the Phillies and the Marlins are going to be facing off in the NL wildcard series. Let's see how both teams are doing going into the playoffs. Now, it took a while, but Philly, they routed the Mets in Buck Showalter's final game as a Mets manager because the Mets are parting ways. Bryson Stott, he drove in the game's first run. He ends 2023 with 32 doubles, 15 home runs, 31 stolen bases, and an insane 16 outs above average defensively. Alec Boehm, he's now in the 20 home run club, and the Phillies, they ripped it all the way open in the final 2 frames. Johan Rojas is sick. He's already a platinum glover in the outfield, and he flies. He's got 2 triples, 14 stolen bases, and an almost 350 on base percentage. Marsh, kind of the same thing. He gets on base. He's really good in the outfield. Now, honestly, if the Phillies ever needed a full late game outfield replacement, they could go with Pache, Rojas, and Marsh. That's one of the best defensive outfielders ever. Like, legitimately nothing would ever land, and they all have cannons for arms. So Philly Philly won their final game ahead of the playoffs. What about Miami? Holy snooze fest. No runs for either team until the 8th inning. Former top prospect for the Padres, Ryan Weathers, he was traded to the Marlins in that Garrett Cooper deal. He shoved yesterday. He went 6 scoreless, only allowed 2 base hits. It was really, really impressive. He also struck out 5. He could be pretty sneaky as a long reliever in the playoffs for Miami. Pittsburgh, they eventually grabbed the lead, though, after some RBI doubles from Andujar and Sawinski. Miguel Andujar, look at him, 18 RBIs and 11 extra base hits and 84 at-bats. Sawinski, he hit 224 this year with only 100 base hits, but he had 26 home runs, a 115 OPS plus, and a lot of walks. He had 75 walks as David Bednar. He closed the 2023 season with 39 saves. He has a 2.25 ERA since 2021. Earlier in the recap, we saw the Diamondbacks get bodied by the Astros, so Snakes fans, they're hoping that their squad wakes up because they have to take on the Brewers, and the Brewers ain't no joke. Milwaukee, they scored 3 in the first. Mark Canha had an RBI. Donaldson, he took a walk with the bases loaded, and then there was a sac fly to Garrett Mitchell. Adrian Hauser, he's such a weird pitcher because he's probably going to clutch up for the Brewers at least once or twice in the playoffs out the pen or something. He went 5 shutout with 5 strikeouts. He has a career 4.12 ERA, but a 2.14 ERA and 19 strikeouts over his last few starts. Tyrone Taylor now has 10 home runs on the season. He's hitting nearly 320 with 12 extra base hits over the last 2 weeks. The Brewers, they're 14 games over 500 over their last 50 games. They're looking dangerous. I mean, not as dangerous as the Braves, but for the second time in this series versus the Nationals, they gave up 10 runs. There's RBI 2 baggers from Joey Meneses and Kyber Ruiz, and that quickly reminded Braves fans that on any given day, any team can pop off. But like in the blink of an eye, the Braves, they can score 50. Ozuna has 39 home runs after that 435-foot 3-run moonshot to tie it. Atlanta, they actually stole the lead on a 2-run single from Michael Harris, who's hitting a ridiculous 335 over his last 100 games. Now, CJ Abrams of the Nationals, he tied it on a single, and then Orlando Arcia, he wanted some of that RBI single action. He reclaims the lead, but Washington, they refused to give up, and they were basically handed the W on a silver platter. There's a bases-loaded walk to tie it, and then rookie Jacob Young, he laced a clutch 2-run single. He's got 13 stolen bases and 13 outs above average in 33 games. He kind of reminds me of Miles Straw when Miles Straw could actually hit baseballs. Ozuna got it back within 1 run on his 40th home run, so the Braves, they made a ton of history on that swing. 307 home runs. They tied the 2019 Twins for 307 home runs. That's a single-season record. They have 3 hitters with 40 home runs. That also ties an MLB record. So even though they lost, they're going to be juggernauts going into October. Now, one thing I do want to mention before we move on, Austin Riley, he had an inside-the-park home run, a Little League home run. It was not called one, but just like Kyle Tucker, I think that he's going to petition to MLB because if this gets reversed, the 2023 Braves will have the most home runs ever in a single season by a team with 308. I audibly gasped when I saw the box score of this game and I saw who started for the Angels. Carson Fulmer, he was the 8th overall pick in 2015. He and Dansby Swanson all but carried Vanderbilt to a chip, but Fulmer, he's been a full-blown bust, unfortunately. He has a near 7 ERA over 74 big league games, but yesterday was easily his best day in the bigs. Brandon Drury and Randall Grichuk, they launched home runs. And Carson Fulmer, he was fantastic. 2 base hits over 5 shutout. That'll work. Couldn't be happier for him, and hopefully he gets more playing time in 2024, and he builds off of the success from his last start. I know it was against the A's in the final game, but whatever. Brandon Drury, he's been the Angels' second most valuable player this year. Yes, even over Mike Trout, because Mike Trout, he has not been healthy. But Brandon Drury, look at him, 26 home runs and 83 RBIs in just 125 games. I'm praying that he can get 150 along with Trout next year and that Rendon bounces back because I want the Angels to be good. The White Sox and the Padres, Pedro Avila and Jose Urena, they were both pitching gems yesterday. With Avila, he had 7 strikeouts over 5 shutout, and Urena, he went 6 shutout out of nowhere. Now, I'm going to skip all the way until the 11th inning because the Padres, they took the lead on a Jerkson profile RBI single. That's the game. 87-year-old Rich Hill, he got the final out, and it still blows my mind that the Padres will not be playing in October. They've won 15 of their last 20. It just took way long for them to look in the mirrors and get their pride out of the way. One more time, here's how the playoffs are shaping up for 2023. We have the Jays facing off against the Twins. Whoever wins that, they will be facing off against the Astros. We have the Rangers and the Rays. Whoever wins that is going against the Orioles. We have the Diamondbacks versus the Brewers. They'll be facing the Dodgers, and then last but not least, the Marlins and the Phillies. Whoever wins that series is going to have to face the juggernaut Braves. Hey guys, I appreciate you watching. Today's recap and all of the recaps that we've posted over the last few years. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I'm just so appreciative, and you guys are the absolute best. I'll see you guys in the playoffs and for some more banger videos. So leave a like, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff. Bye.